Slowhands Rock Talk Show.
Looking to get a professional website built at an affordable cost? Then look no further. Nova Web Design offers you all the services required to put your business on the map. Whether it's website redesign, website development or website maintenance, it's all here and more. Click the link in the description for more info. Before the video starts, if you could do me a huge favour and make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. It's free, it only takes seconds to do, and it really does help the channel continue to grow. Now on to the video. But Nick, thank you so much for making a bit of time out of your morning to come on to the podcast and to speak to myself all about music. We'll speak about music for yourself, we'll speak about Paradise Lost and everything else that fits in between. Before we get started, how are you doing?
I'm all right, yeah. Not bad. Yeah, all good. Yeah, we've got about a month off now, so just enjoying my time at home, trying to get fit. So yeah, apart from that, yeah, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a downtime, to be honest. So yeah, it's good. Relaxing before
the wheels of the train start moving again.
Yeah. So we start again in May. So but yeah, we the kind of bulk of the tour, we've kind of finished that, but then we pick up again a little bit later on the year. But obviously there's summer festivals as well, which we're always very busy with that as well. So but yeah, it's April's pretty much a bit of a break. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. What I do with all the guests, Nick, I go back to the very beginning. So where originally are you from? Where were you brought up?
Apart from Steve, our bass player, we're all from Halifax in West Yorkshire. We're all born and bred there. We all left there when we were probably late teenagers. So I've actually lived Bradford way a lot longer than I ever lived in Halifax. But I mean, yeah, we're all from. Steve's from Bradford, which is, it's 7 miles away. It's not exactly another planet, but yeah, no, we're all kind of from Halifax pretty much, and that's where we started the band.
That's fine. All the musicians around the world that I speak to, there is a common sort of theme that most people, it's not always the case, but most people, they're maybe influenced by music their parents are listening to when they're younger, but most people when they're about the age of 11 or 12, starting high school, is when they start to discover their own musical taste, bands that they like for themselves. Who were some of the first bands that you remember discovering for yourself?
It was the top 40, the hit parade, as it was called then, because there was no other real outlet, because there was obviously no internet. So, I mean, anything you heard would have been, if it got into the top 40, then that's when you picked up on it. So, I mean, bands like Deep Purple, Rainbow, Motorhead, Iron Maiden, and this is around 1978, I think, to 81. That's around the time I was 8 or 9. That's when I started kind of listening to bands. But I think probably Motorhead was the first time I kind of heard anything that I think it was the Ace of Spades. I couldn't believe how kind of heavy that was, especially for the time. It was like 1980 or something, or 81 perhaps, I don't know, around that time. Yeah. But I mean, that was the first album I ever bought, or my parents bought. And it's still probably one of my favorite albums, ironically. Yeah. But yeah, it was probably around that time. But it was anything. And then after that, obviously, we got a taste for that kind of music. And this is not, well, I say people might, my friends and peers, same age as me, this how we all discovered this kind of music. Yeah. And then there was Tommy Vance, a DJ at a Friday night rock show, where there was BBC Friday Night Rock Show. That's where you would hear anything of note that was kind of heavy, and all the new music was played on there. And it was so exciting because you'd hear a band and you were kind of listening really carefully, so you got the name of the band. Yeah. And if you didn't get the name of the band, you probably wouldn't hear it again for another 2 years.
Oh, it's changed times from today when you just go on.
Yeah, but it was kind of more exciting in a way, because I mean, I remember I heard Metal Militia, the song by Metallica, and Kill 'Em All when the album was released. I can't remember what year it was, 80s. And I thought, oh my God, who is this? This is incredible. I've got to hear this again. And I missed who it was. And it wasn't until they released Ride the Lightning that I bought Ride the Lightning. And then I went back and went, right, it was Metallica after all. So it took like nearly how many years it was in between those albums. Yeah, for me to go back and, but I mean that was also a nice thing as well. Especially discovering Aussie, the Aussie period of Sabbath and the Dio period of Sabbath, because they were two different things and they were both brilliant. So it was great, to discover all that around the 1980s and the late 70s. Because I'm probably a little bit too young for Sabbath, really. The original, I'm more the Dio era. But,
Yeah.
I love both eras equally, but it was kind of 88 to 84. That was kind of the Dio sort of era, which was when I was kind of becoming a young teenager,
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Like I grew up 80s and 90s, so I was already in my 20s before the internet hit. So you do have this. It's almost like a different musical appreciation because you didn't have this unlimited supply of music, so you appreciated what you could actually get. And obviously, you're saying that you got your, Motorhead was your first sort of album. It made a big impact on yourself. What was the first concert that you ever went to, like professional concert?
First proper concert was Metallica in 1986 at the George's Hall, which I always go on about. It was like £4.50. It was Metallica and Anthrax. It was £4.50.
Was that
that was
point?
Master of Puppets tour. Cliff Burton actually died not long after that. Actually, it was literally a few weeks afterwards. I think he actually died. So it was pretty much, amongst the last kind of group. He probably did actually. But so yeah, it was Anthrax supporting, and I was about 14, something like that. But I mean, there was a mosh pit, and I never experienced that before. It was kind of almost scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I mean, again though, James Hetfield broke his wrist or his arm, and I think it was John. Yeah, he was filling in for him on guitar.
Yep.
But it was. I mean, again, because we'd never experienced anything like that, and such a big fan of Metallica. The first, absolutely obsessed with them for the first few hours. It was just a monumental, life-changing experience, and I still maintain it's probably one of the best things I've ever seen, because when you experience them for the first time, you just actually blew us away, So,
my first concert was actually Metallica as well. It was in the 90s, but behind the camera, I've got a notice board that's got all the old ticket stubs, and like what you said there, I saw them in '95, I think it was.
All right.
£19.
It's still cheap.
I'm going to see them this summer, and it's not £19.
£900.
I've even since the 90s just for this concert.
Yeah.
But you're a vocalist. Why vocals? Why not guitar or drums or bass? What was it that made you want to be a singer?
I think in that group of friends, I was probably the most gobbiest. I guess, and that's pretty much a lot of our peers. It's the same. It happened much the same way. The person who's probably the gobbiest in the room ends up with the vocalist. I played bass briefly in the beginning before Steve joined the band, which I quite enjoyed playing bass actually. But I found it hard to sing and play. I just couldn't kind of get my head around that.
So you were the bravest person to stand in front of the microphone?
I don't know. At that time, perhaps, yeah. I don't think, like I say, since then, Greg's done vocals in his own band, and he's no problem with it. So, at that time, I guess, I was probably the kind of loudest in the room. I suppose that's why I got the job. I guess,
See, when you think back to starting out in the band, obviously you'll have vocalists that you looked up to. And a lot of people will imitate them to start with. How long did it take you to find your own voice and feel comfortable as a frontman?
I think and with the death metal thing, the original bands were kind of creating the blueprint for it anyway. In a way, it's. A lot of the death metal vocalists, I couldn't really sing like them anyway. I used to love. Tom G from Celtic Frost, he didn't really sing in death metal per se, but his voice, I always loved his voice. I still love his voice. But you can't really copy him without sounding like him exactly. So you can't really do that. A lot of the American death metal bands I liked, the vocalists, again, I couldn't even match what they were doing. So I guess you just fall in your own way of doing it. But I in the back of the day, how I used to do the death metal voice particularly was a lot more throat involved. I used to get a bad throat constantly. How I actually do it's changed. It's a different sound now than it used to be when I was younger as well, which is strange. But and then going into the clean voice, it was just that was a result of just kind of maybe getting a little bit tired of doing the same thing all the time with the vocals, and we wanted to, maybe branch out a little bit with the vocals more and try and bring in melodies. And I guess that came in around 1994, maybe 93, 94. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just sticking around for a long time, and maybe get a bit tired with certain things and then moving, trying something else, you know.
Yeah, I'm always curious. I always look at bands that have been on the go for a long time. I like to look at the first few years, right? Paradise Lost forms in 1988. Lost Paradise comes out in 1990. Gothic comes out in 1991. Shades of God 1992. Icon 1993. Draconian Times 1995. 1 Second 1997. And Host in 1999. So 7 albums in the first 8 years. A lot of touring, a lot of gigs, festivals. It's
quite common, I think, with when you start a band. I was thinking about this because it's like when you start a band, a lot of bands do albums bang, bang, bang really quickly.
Yeah.
But I mean, but with that said, the first kind of 2 albums, we didn't do much touring. I mean, we did a couple of shows in Holland and that was it. You know, I mean, we didn't really do anything. It wasn't until we got management around the Shades of God album that we actually started to do proper touring. On summer festivals, there may be like 1 or 2. I think there was Dynamo Festival in Holland, and there was pretty much nothing else for about. And then slowly they've crept up, and now there's thousands of them. But you know, you would tour in the summertime, and you may do an odd festival here and there. But now the summer is completely all festivals, and then you may tour in winter. But I mean, even festivals are becoming perennial. You know, they have indoor ones all year round. It's becoming a thing all year round now. So. Yeah, I do think, you know, and then when you get a fan base, obviously you're going to be away longer. And we never really did much in America, but for bands that do, that's another 2 months away as well. So I guess the more touring you do, then there's going to be a bigger gap between albums, you know. But I find most bands, it's like bang, bang, bang. The first couple of albums, I've noticed that for sure.
When you think back to that first 10 years, does it feel like a long time ago? Does it feel like yesterday? Is it like almost thinking back to like looking at somebody else?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a lifetime. I mean, it's kind of scary how it's gone really quickly. And particularly when you get into a cycle of writing albums, recording them, then touring them, and having a few weeks off, and then coming back again. Before you know it, it's 3 years, and then before you know it, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my god. So it's very quick, but I think life's short. I mean, I don't. It seems to have gone like that. I mean, once I had children, it's almost like it's wow, you know. Where's it gone? You know, and you kind of only gauge how fast it's going by how big they are. I mean, you know, but we've all got adult children now. But you look at them, you think, well, do I look like I did when I was 27? No, I don't. So even though but I think it keeps you young at heart. This what we do. None of us we're not that different to when we were teenagers when we started. There is not, and I see this in all our and bands I've met through the years that are a lot older than we are. In fact, if that's possible. You know, they still are very young at heart, and I like the fact that what we do does keep you at least young at heart, if not anywhere else.
It's funny. I spoke with I had Dave Lombardo from Slayer on the podcast just the other day, and I'd asked him, "How are you doing physically?" Because it's physically demanding, especially the drumming style that he plays.
Oh, yeah. And
he said exactly that. He's doing okay. He's no major injuries, but he says the minute I jump up on stage, I still feel like I'm that 21-year-old.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it is. It's great. It's nice to have that you know, the output that makes you feel that way. But like I said, the physicality of it. You know, I never at no point in my life did I think I would have to think about what chair I sat in. You know.
Yeah.
And now that's actually a thing now. I change chairs constantly if I'm backstage. So it's like, what the hell's going on? But yeah.
When you think about the band, though, it's been on the go for almost 40 years, which is amazing because you know it's difficult for bands to function. It's difficult to keep a band going. There's so many bands don't last that long for various reasons. In your opinion, what makes a band work? And not in terms of success, but what makes a band function? Does a band need a leader, for example?
Hey, it's Lauren from Deer Fang, and you're watching the Slowhands Rock Talk Show, talking all things music.
Just a very quick message to say thank you for watching. It really is appreciated. If you could hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and remember to hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss any future episodes that come out. Now back to the video.
To a degree, but I mean, if someone kind of overrules everything else, then it's not going to work. It's got to be a bit of a diplomacy involved in it. But it's, I mean, when we started as friends, when we had a mutual love of a very underground type of music. It wasn't a big thing then. There wasn't a lot of people into it. So it was a real little, we were like a little niche of people in each town that were actually into this music. And it was a very small amount of people. You probably a few hundred people in the whole of Yorkshire, but probably if that. So we obviously came together under a mutual love for the music, and we were really into it as well. Like real massive fans of it all. And the tape trading scene, and we all came from that. We used to love doing all that. We started from in my opinion, the best reasons to start something. If you got to have some passion for it. We all had the passion for it. Yeah. If someone hasn't got any passion, then it's going to fall by the wayside pretty quickly. So we started for the right reasons, and we've always. I don't know. We've never been to the point where we've just enjoyed it as well. We just kind of, and it's become kind of hard coded in a way. It's kind of hard to explain it. We've never stopped doing it either. We haven't. A lot of bands sometimes they may have 6-7 years where they don't do it, and then they think, oh wow, actually it was better than I remember. So it's like, but we've never stopped. So like I said, we started for the right reasons. It wasn't from the beginning.
That's fine. But you touched on this earlier, and I'm curious. Your voice is your instrument. If you've got a guitar, you can change the strings, change the skins on a drum. Your voice is your instrument, and it will naturally age over time. How is your singing voice now, today, compared to, for example, 30 years ago?
I think I take way more care now because I'm not there to party. When I was a young lad, I was kind of there for that as well. Now there is none of that. I can't remember the last time I went to a pub. It's when we're especially on tour, it's just there's none of that. We might have a few drinks after the show, but it's very a quiet affair. No, I tend to talk quietly. I'd never shout. I never try and get upset. I try and get as much sleep as I possibly can. Yeah. And just very, very boring stuff, I guess. But it's if you got a lot of shows in a row, or if you got a lot of red eye flights, which we often have in the summertime, you just got to kind of behave the best you can to make sure, because ultimately the only thing that matters is the show, and that's got to be the best you can make it. And that's what it's all about,
Out there that they party hard, but nobody can last. It eventually catches up on you. Yeah, I
don't know anybody my age or even within kind of 10 years of my age that kind of does any of this kind of craziness. There's not many. But even young bands, they tend to be very, very sensible. You don't really see it much. Particularly festivals, backstages in the 90s were just crazy with the amount of drinking and shenanigans. But it's just very, very sober affair. And most festivals these days, regardless of how old anybody is,
I think that's maybe a good thing, though. People are paying a lot of money to come and see these bands perform, and the bands are in the mindset that they want to put on the best performance possible.
Oh, totally. But I also think that the video cameras has completely quietened it down because no one wants to get filmed doing anything stupid. So that's a massive thing as well, for sure, yeah.
Question as well, is it more difficult at the beginning of a band's career trying to get the band established and noticed, or do you think it's more difficult later in a band's career trying to keep the band fresh and relevant?
It's hard to say, because the ultimate thing, you just got to get an initial fan base. Once you got that, hopefully they will stay with you. But I think getting a foundation in early is really important. But it was a lot. I wouldn't say it's easier, but in our day, you could get that established. You could get established quicker, and a lot of new bands they can't kind of get that because there's so many bands around now. It's kind of harder to get your foot through the door, and there's so much luck involved. It's not always about even how good you are now. It's just about if you've had the right breaks. I think sometimes, But I think there wasn't a lot of, when I was like 9 or 10, there was kind of like 4 heavy metal bands. It's just
yeah.
And I liked probably 3 of them. So it was like, it was definitely easier to get a foot in the door. But now it's kind of the mind boggles at the amount of bands there is, and there's some brilliant bands out there that probably have fallen by the wayside just because they just haven't been that lucky. And ultimately, luck is a huge part of everything, you know, and it's certainly no exception in the music business.
What is something that you know now that you wish you knew when you were first starting out?
It's important to get some sleep. It's probably one of the because
sleep is not overrated.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't know. It's a tough one really because I just think that you know it's like it's just literally tagging on to what I just said. A lot of life is about luck, and no matter how good you think you are, it's not always going to work out for you. And sometimes, you know, life doesn't bow for you. You know, I think that's. But I mean, you could say that about everything. You know, everything in life's a bit like that, I guess. You know, you just when you get old, you realize life didn't bow to you. You know, and you got to try and do the best that you can. You know, and see what happens.
And as you said earlier, a lot of festival dates. So May 22nd is kind of the start of the gigging again, and it goes right through to November. But the last album, Ascension, was released September last year. At this stage, are you already thinking about the next album, or is that too far ahead?
It's for us, it's too far ahead. I mean, yeah, I mean, we want to kind of leave a bit of I'd rather leave a bit of as much time as we can between albums, and then we come out with a better album as a result of that. But I mean, like, you know, going back to like banging one out every year is it's not going to be. Plus, I mean, the touring schedules, we've got gigs planned right into halfway through next year already anyway. So it's so yeah. I mean, we will get right again, obviously, but it's not nice to rush things. It's, you know, I don't think it's productive to rush. It's nice to take your time. You know, you don't often have that luxury. But
when you write a new album, is it all fresh ideas, or will you have ideas from the previous album that never made the album that you'll still work on?
Probably 90% of it's fresh, but there could be 10%. There could be like 3% of an album of a riff that was written 20 years ago that Greg's found in his archives, and just I found this. Oh right, yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, it's but most of it's pretty fresh, and I mean we change it so much as well. You know, we can spend weeks on a song and then we just scrap it because we just suddenly go off it. So it's kind of the kind of product quality our own is quite high. The bars, we set that bar incredibly high ourselves, so it's just writing takes time basically.
That's fine. Nick, see, before we finish up, I like to ask some fun questions, so I'm going to ask the questions, you tell me what pops into your head, okay?
All right.
So imagine you could go back in time anywhere in the world. What is the one gig you wish you could have attended?
Probably the old, probably one of the first Metallica shows. I bet that'd have been one of well, if not the first Metallica show, that'd have been.
Is that the one with Dave Mustaine on the?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'd like to see that. That'd be a good one.
Cool. Similar to that, see if you could go back and attend one of your own gigs as a spectator. Is there a particular gig that stands out for you?
The first time we ever played in Poland, it was in Katowice. I think it was 91 or 92, or around that time. But that was crazy. The show was crazy. The crowd was just crazy. We'd never seen a crowd like that. So it was our first kind of real wow. I mean, everyone was going mad at the show. So and that was really exciting to see that. We'd never seen that. So that really kind of stuck with us, I think, you know.
That's fine. Does the perfect album start to finish exist? And if so, what is the album?
I mean, it's damn close, but I mean, there's a lot of. That's a tough one right off the back. I'm trying to think of a metal album. There's quite a lot actually, but right off the top of my head, I was going to say Ride the Lightning, but it's almost there. But I don't know. There's a couple of bits. I don't know. It's hard. That's really hard. Shit. I think Morrissey's done one. I think the album Vauxhall and I by Morrissey, in my opinion, is I'd say actually Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. That's nearly there.
Okay.
But there's probably some loads of heavy ones I can't think of. But yeah.
Next question will paint one of your Paradise Lost band members in a bad light. So imagine it's 4 o'clock in the morning you've got a dead body in the back of your car, you need help disposing of that body, no questions asked. Which member of Paradise Lost are you calling for help and why?
Initially, it would be Steve.
And why is that?
Because he'd probably be up.
Simple as that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a question here from one of my friends, Martin Miller. He's been a Paradise Lost fan since 1992, 93. Loves the band. And he asked me to ask this question. Why did the song Sweetness never make it onto an album? As in the band's words, it's the greatest song ever written. It's also his favourite Paradise Lost song. It's on Seal's The Sense EP, but why did it never make it on an album?
Because when we did it, we were like, because it's always weird choosing what's going to be the B-side or the A-side. And there wasn't a lot of wiggle room or time. So we just said, okay, well, and at that time we thought maybe it wasn't as much of a good song as it was. So we kind of, in hindsight, would have gone on. But it was basically down to the time we had and the choices we had. And we just kind of said, okay, we won't. And it was simple as that. Because, I mean, not obviously after that we thought, actually, it's a pretty good song. But I always like it when B-sides can actually be better than album tracks. So it's kind of a nice surprise when that happens.
There's a fan question that it's his favourite song, so there you go. As you know, thousands and thousands of great songs written and recorded across the years by different artists. What's the one song you wish you could have sat in the recording studio to witness the band record the song?
Songs. Oh, I don't know. I don't know, it's something off Merciful Fate, Dangerous Meeting. That'd have been anything off that album. Don't Break the Oath. That's a nearly perfect album, by the way. So yeah, anything. The first song off that'd have been great to see. I'm a big fan of Merciful Fate. And
last question for yourself. I know the answer can change daily, but for today, who is your Mount Rushmore when it comes to bands? Who's the 4 bands, whether it be your initial inspiration, overall performance, songwriting, who's the 4 bands for yourself that you would want to put on your Mount Rushmore?
Well, it's got to be Metallica, hasn't it? They've got to be up there, I guess. Jesus. Ozzy era Sabbath. Yeah. Slayer, maybe. And who else? I don't know. God. It's just kind of...
Too many.
I don't think of anybody. Who else is there? I'll try to think who else there is. I'll just say Celtic Frost. That'll do. That's
fine. But thank you for coming on, Nick, speaking to myself, answering my questions. For anybody watching, paradiselost.co.uk, they can get all the band's information there. They can get tour dates, they can get merchandise. I do always encourage people, go to the gigs. That's the main thing. It's great for people to go to gigs, see the band perform, buy some merchandise at the gigs. I'm not a huge fan of it, but if downloading or streaming is your thing, obviously you can do that. Give the band a follow on social media. And next time you guys roll through Glasgow, I'll give you a shout. And I think he's wearing King Tut's maybe last time. I can't remember.
It was Garage.
Garage, that's right. Next time you're there, you'll see myself and you'll see Martin that asked his question.
All right. Yeah.
But thanks for coming on, Nick. Enjoy the rest of your day as well.
Cheers, buddy. All the best. Thank you.
Cheers, pal. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. Thank you.